On this episode of the Naturist Living Show, plans for a new nude oasis and the owner of 2 naturist resorts in the western U.S.
This episode of the Naturist Living Show is brought to you by Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park. At Bear Oaks, we offer traditional naturist values in a modern setting. Free your body, free your mind. www.bearoaks.ca.
Welcome, dear listener, to episode number 62 of the Naturist Living Show. It's December 2013, and my name is Stéphane Deschênes. I'm your host for this episode of the Naturist Living Show, and I'm also the owner of Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park. And I am very happy to be announcing that the 2014 trip to France that we have been talking about in previous episode is a go. 2013 was a great success. We had 29 people. A lot of people had fun. People have been asking because they want to go again. Or people who didn't make it last time want to go this time. So we've done some adjustment. We were working before with the idea that everything was set and the flight was taken care of to get group rates. But then what we found is we actually had people from all over the place. We had people from Belgium, from a couple of different areas in the US and Canada. So trying to organize group flights doesn't necessarily make sense. So what we're doing this time is we're just providing the core trip portion in Europe, and then you organize the flight and that main transportation to get over there directly with a travel agent. So it means you can be more flexible. You can, if you have points, as some people were saying, you can use those points, air miles or Aeroplan or frequent flyer points or whatever they're called, to book your flight if you want. Or depending where you're coming from, it might be better to route yourself to a different city than Paris to go to Bordeaux. So it gives you more options. It also allows us to offer choices. So for this trip, you'll have the choice of doing 1 week or 2 weeks at the CHM Montalivet in Bordeaux on the Atlantic. And that's because after 1 week, several people said they wish they were staying longer. And it is beautiful, and you certainly get into a new rhythm of life when you're over there, getting up in the morning and maybe going for a swim in the ocean before going to have breakfast in one of the restaurants or coffee shops, or buying you a fresh baguette every morning and then heading over to the water park or to some sort of activity or the spa. So many things to do. And then we had an opportunity to visit a winery, a couple of wineries in Bordeaux in the medieval village of Saint-Émilion, and we're going to make that available again. But there's many other things to see around there, and by making the option for 2 weeks, it means that you don't mind also going, if you want, on a few other excursions that are going to be available to different areas, like Arcachon, which is a really famous place for oysters, and there's this massive sand dune that you can go visit. Bordeaux itself is a wonderful city you could spend a whole day in. So 1 week or 2 weeks at the CHM in Bordeaux, and then the option of a few more days in Paris. And so therefore you can adjust your flights accordingly. So anyway, to find out all that information, just go to bearoaks.ca/France, and all the details will be there. For those who are fans of Doctor Who, you've no doubt seen the Christmas special. Doctor Who, for those who don't know, has been around, just had a 50th anniversary, 50 years of being on the air with some downtime in between. It was the 800th episode that was the Christmas special that just aired on Christmas Day. And that's where you change from the 11th Doctor to the 12th Doctor. Without getting into a long story, Doctor Who is a time-traveling Time Lord, and he doesn't die exactly. He just changes from one persona to another, one body to another, which is a convenient tool, of course, for the producers and the writer of the show, because then they can keep changing actors, and that explains the actor. But it also makes for very interesting transitions and personalities and storylines. But the reason I'm mentioning it is because this particular episode, the 800th episode, the Christmas special, had some naturist themes to it. And to make a long story short, it has to do with going to the papal mainframe to meet the Mother Superioress, Tasha Lem, who is the head of this space church. But the church has a whole military aspect. It acts as a sort of UN of space, keeping peace and keeping things organized. And let me play the clips from the show that had to do with the naturist themes, as you'll hear. And I've edited this to put all the elements together that are relevant. And there's stuff in between that either doesn't work well without the visual or is not as relevant to what I'm going to discuss.
Clara!
No, stop. Stop. Don't move. Don't do anything.
Why? What is it? What's wrong?
You're naked.
Yes, I am naked. I wondered if you'd noticed.
Doctor, why are you naked?
Because I'm going to church. Better.
Oh, that was quick.
Hologram clothes projected directly onto your visual cortex.
So you're still naked underneath?
Everybody's naked underneath.
What's that?
Papal mainframe. It's like a great big flying church. The first ship to arrive. They're the ones who shielded the planet. They can get us down there.
Friend of yours?
Tasha Lem, Mother Superioress! Oh, she's inviting us aboard.
Why?
Because I asked her. Swallow this.
What is it?
Your hologram projector. You can't go to church with your clothes on. I know, relaxing, isn't it?
What's this place?
Church of the Papal Mainframe, security hub of the known universe.
A security church?
Yep, keeping you safe in this world and the next. I venerate the exaltation of the Mother Superioress.
Welcome to the Church of the Papal Mainframe. Your nudity is appreciated.
Hey, babes.
Loving the frock.
Is that a new body? Give us a twirl.
Touch this old thing, please. I've been rocking it for centuries.
Nice, though. Tight.
So, hello. Also here.
Clara, this is Tasha Lem, the head of the Church of the Papal Mainframe. Tash.
So as you can hear, it's about nudity. It's about not wearing clothes, except the way they deal with it, the tool they deal, because they couldn't put nudity very easily, I guess, on the BBC. Or anywhere else. Although there certainly have been shows with nudity on the BBC, and we've talked about those. But perhaps this is not the show, or the actors didn't want to do it. At any rate, they deal with it by using the tool, the idea that they're using this holographic imagery of clothing that's projected directly on their retina, and so the more sensitive Clara, who's from Earth and obviously has issues with nudity and body image, just like most people in the textile world, she doesn't have to deal with it because she perceives the clothes, even though, as they point out, they're still really nude, herself included. And the question is whether this was purely meant to be comic relief, and certainly it has amusing tones to it, especially for the people, the textiles, who are uncomfortable with the idea of nudity or understand these things. But on the other hand, the doctor is very comfortable, quite at ease with the nudity. He seems to be confused, and you've got to understand a doctor, being a Time Lord, is not human and doesn't have the same hang-ups. And maybe we are making fun, maybe we are laughing, maybe this is comic relief, but perhaps the writers saw the ridiculousness of the whole fear and embarrassment and shame that we have of our bodies. So maybe we're laughing at ourselves as in it. And nudity, here, as you can hear, is a sign of respect. The priest says that the nudity is appreciated because it's a sign perhaps of humility and respect to the priests and the church itself. So I saw some pretty neat, albeit subtle, naturist themes and values, and perhaps the author, perhaps Stephen Moffat, is a naturist himself. Who knows? In my role as on the board of the INF, I get information from all over the world, which is interesting, but particularly non-European countries, which is my area. And from that standpoint, very exciting to announce that we have a new federation in Mexico that has formed, and they've just been recognized. And there's another one in Thailand that's considering joining the INF as well, which is also a new federation. But there's unfortunately some difficulties in Australia. So I just wanted to mention this on the show because I know we have Australian listeners. The ANF, the Australian Naturist Federation, is having some challenges. In the last meeting, they were unable to have quorum. And so they have a whole bunch of money in the bank, but they're not doing very much. And the president, Greg, is actually as the acting president because the former president has resigned, and so he took over to fill the gap as the acting president. But people need to be involved. I know there's a lot of criticism that I've also heard and read about in Australia that the ANF doesn't do very much and it has problems. And perhaps it does, and clearly if people aren't involved, that's a problem in itself. Greg is asking for people to be involved. He is stressed and he can't do it all himself, and he needs assistance, and in order for the ANF to continue, it needs people to be involved. Some people would wish it to not continue. I think it's probably easier to get involved and change the ANF from within than try to start a brand new federation from scratch. But I'm far away, and it's hard for me to know exactly what's going on all that way. But I just thought I would share that with anybody who's listening in Australia, that if you want to get involved, you do need a federation. It's important to have a federation in every country because it provides a point of focus for naturism, a point for government to contact, a point for the media to contact, a starting point for information, whether it's on the web, that provides credibility to the movement and provides credibility to the clubs and resorts and beaches and can do the lobbying and all that. And if that's not being done well, it doesn't mean that the possibility is not there to do it. Federations are important. Every movement, every sport, every hobby, every ideal, every philosophy has some sort of central organizing body in most countries where the movement has strength. And naturism can't be any different. You may recall Joshua Williams, the fashion designer, who was interviewed for the episode on fashion that we did in October of 2011. I'll provide a link to that in the show notes so you can listen to it again if you want. Joshua and I have kept in touch. In fact, he came to visit Bear Oaks with his family last summer, and he has an idea. And he wants to do something new. He wants to build something new. Because believe it or not, in New York City, there is no place to go in the winter in the core of New York City that you can get to by transit if you want to try naturism. So I gave him a call so he could discuss this idea and share it with you. Joshua, you had an interesting article on the YNA blog.
Yes. I had talked to Felicity and Jordan at YNA, and we had talked a lot about things that were being planned for the winter for this year, and in the New Jersey, New York, Connecticut metropolitan area. There's a fair amount of clubs in New Jersey. There's 3 within, I'd say within an hour to 2 hours from New York City, but there's really nothing that's open year round. All of them are fairly rural areas, and it's a little bit hard for a New Yorker to get out there as it is during the summer, but obviously during the winter. Even if it was open, there wouldn't be anything. So we started talking about, what would something look like in an urban environment, that wasn't the traditional, club with a lake or a pool, but, something that was smaller, more manageable. And they suggested that I write an article about it and see what kind of comments we got back.
So is this something that you're planning on doing, or you wish somebody else would do, or where you want to go with this?
Well, it's something that I've been thinking about for a few years. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and so I'm always looking at potential business opportunities or projects that sort of line up with my own life or my lifestyle. And obviously, naturism is something that is an important part of my life. So yeah, when I decided to write the article, I really wanted to look at it specifically to reality. I wanted to see, is there a real opportunity there from a business point of view, rather than, an idealistic point of view of, if I had $1 million, what would I do with it sort of approach.
So describe to us exactly what you think it might look like.
Well, I've been to a couple of different places in the area. One is a Korean spa, and I was always somewhere where that I go during the winter. It's actually a rather large facility just outside of New York City, and there is full nudity there, but it's separated between the sexes. But I've always been really impressed just how it's run. It's very much a business, and yet it's very much a place that people go and spend. They'll spend the day. Part of that is some of the spa offerings that are there. But also, they have a lot of places just to sit, play games, talk to people, have lunch or dinner, and that was sort of what appealed to me. And I thought, now this particular place is very large, and obviously it's very much geared towards the Korean population, although people from all cultures go. But I thought, what if there was something along those same lines on a smaller scale, that was in New York City proper or along a transportation line, within 15 minutes of the city, that maybe was more along the lines of 4,000 to 6,000 square feet, as opposed to this Korean spa, which is 4 floors. And trying to kind of imagine what that kind of a space would look like within the confines of a smaller footprint. Obviously, real estate in this area is very expensive, so that's one consideration for that. But also, I think one of the things that I've noticed after I put the article up is there's a lot of comments about how this is going to be very expensive and a bit of pie in the sky, and I think that's because, at least from the naturist blogs that I read and such, there is an idealism about the perfect space,
right?
And and again, I go back to this idea. Okay, I have an ideal of what I'd like, but what is realistic? And I think having a smaller space, maybe starting with a common room and a hot spa or hot sauna rather, and maybe a steam room, and just starting there.
So not an indoor water park with a lazy river and
Exactly. I mean, I love to swim, and I would love nothing more than a swimming pool I could go swim, nude in every day. But I don't think that that's probably the easiest thing to go solve. Whereas putting a hot sauna in might be, or a dry sauna rather, would be fairly reasonable. So I imagine a space where you walk in. Obviously, there's a bit of a foyer or an area that where you're welcomed, and then of course you go into an area where you would change out of your clothes, and then once you've changed out of your clothes, that there's essentially a big common area where people can gather, and then also a small spa, if you will, that has the sauna or the steam room or some of those things that I think are worth, or an opportunity, I guess, to socialize. I also imagine, the thing is I've been thinking a lot about sort of our culture as it is right now. I think so much of what we do socially online, especially the millennials, is very much online. It's all about connecting online. And one of the, the better things that I think that have come out of that is the Meetup website. And, it just keeps... the idea keeps coming to me that there's so many opportunities or ideas for groups to meet up, but there's not a lot of space for that. And I thought, why not have a space where, somebody who might want to lead a nude yoga class or nude Pilates, or might want to do art drawing classes, and have nude models and that sort of thing, where there's no question, because that's already part of who we are, that nudity isn't the elephant in the room, it's the expected. And I thought that might be an interesting take on what's happening online.
Now, naturism or nudism in North America actually started in the 20s in New York City with the rental of pools for
that's right,
nude activity. Does that not happen in the winter anymore?
It does. There's actually Travisons is a non-landed club in Long Island, and they actually have a pool party once a month at the World Gym in Wantagh. The issue there is mostly transportation. So for me, even though it's maybe 30 miles away, it would take about an hour and a half to get there. And so it becomes sort of, a trip.
Right.
And, anytime you have to drive through the city, it becomes a bit problematic. So yeah, those are definitely there. And in fact, the Travisons commented on the blog post itself and, said, hey, something like this sort of exists. I think that the two differences is that I'm interested in a space that's, there 7 days a week. Whether or not it's, nude every single day, I think, again, depends on the amount of traffic that you can get and the amount of market available to you. But right now, Travisons is once a month, so it's more of an event rather than a community space.
Yeah, the challenge with any niche business like naturism is that when you start, you have a much smaller market to draw from. Eventually, when you build up the business, it's much stronger because you have almost no competition. But
yeah, exactly.
You have to be able to survive in the first few years as you build up a clientele. So you think it's viable? You think it's financially viable to do this? I do. And the reason why is because, I've been thinking about this too. Does it need to be nude all the time? Does it need to be, what kind of space is it? And, I think I start with my ideal and then I work backwards a bit and say, from a business point of view, from a operations point of view, what can I do? And so I was thinking about this the other day. I mean, I would think, and this isn't exactly where I would love to go, but if I could have a place that was open, that was nude only 2 days a week, that's already better than once a month. And if that were the case, what other, if I do have amenities like a hot sauna and a spa or a hot tub or things like that, and a common space where there's no issues with art drawing classes and things like that, I might be able to fill it just by the need within the market for an open space. And then, of course, over time, build that into, so 3 days, 4 days are nude only. The other thing, that I thought of is there was a lot of conversation about how it would be very difficult to have a nudity within a physical space, or at least build it on that. And I go back to, there's been some examples in the comments and such. There's, again, the Korean spa is it's separated by sex, but it's still nude and it's expected. There's a few Russian banyas in the area that nudity is expected. Again, mostly, bisex. And then there are places in America. There's Kiva. There's some other, bathhouses and things like that. But they all go back to a culture. You know what I mean? So there's like a Finnish sauna. People expect it, and I think sometimes the nudity idea becomes the only sell point or the main sell point. Then it becomes controversial. Where, I look at a lot of these websites and nudity is just one of the FAQs. Oh, by the way, when you're in the spa, there's no clothing. Well, and I certainly talk about this all the time, that's not the point of naturism, isn't actually the nudity, even though that's what everybody likes to talk about. Exactly. It's a whole bigger philosophy. So yeah, it could be a place that's the point is body acceptance and the whole self and health, mental and physical health and stuff. could be the point. So, but to the Korean places you said 4 stories. Is it all Koreans? Does it only attract Koreans?
No. I mean, it's definitely because it's part of their everyday life. I mean, a lot of people will go there every day and take their showers there and prepare for the day. So definitely they're the main population. But when I go there, there's usually, I would say, at any given time, 4 or 5, Caucasians. A lot of Russians I've noticed go there. So again, people from Europe that I think that are used to these kinds of places. And, what's really interesting is you'll get a lot of, if you go to Yelp, it's interesting to read the comments because it's about the nudity.
Right.
And, what's really interesting, because it's not within the Naturist or the Nudist commentary, it's all about, it's a little weird that people are naked, but you get over it. It's fine. It's great. It's such a great spa for the price. And that's, they get over it quickly. And so I think, if it's just an expectation, so again, let's go back to this. If Monday through Wednesday, let's say it was clothing optional, let's say that it was nude only in the spa area, but everything else was clothing. And then, Thursday through Sunday was nude only. I don't think it would freak out most people, because I think there's an expectation when you go to some of these places, especially if they're framed within a cultural context. I don't think people care. I think sometimes people get a little annoyed when it's pushed on them, let's say, or that it's, the main reason to be there. And then it gets a little weird because it's like they have to be, subscribed to everything that, they have to say, am I a naturist or not? And I think, some people just aren't ready to do that, but they're fine being naked.
Yeah, well, and in fact, I'm a little surprised that even the naturist concept doesn't exist in New York City. I mean, it's one of the biggest cities in North America with an extensive subway system, and you're telling me that I cannot go to a naturist event once a month by subway?
No, there's nothing by subway. In fact, to get out to Long Island, you'd either have to drive or take a train, and then do a little bit of walking. So it's not easy.
Wow. Why do you think that is? I mean, there's certainly, if Toronto can support an urban swim once a month in the winter that you can get to by subway, why doesn't it exist in New York City?
It's a good question. I think a lot of it comes down to cost. I think, real estate is quite expensive, although it is in Toronto as well. I know that it's somewhat the same in terms of space availability and price. And then also traditionally the pools have been, the pools are publicly owned, most of them. So most New Yorkers, if they're going to go to the pool, they either go to a public-owned pool or they go to a YMCA. So there isn't a lot of private pool unless it's a hotel. And I know that there are hotels that have had naked swims, but those, again, are more of an event and more of a decidedly less naturist events, So, but yeah, it is a bit surprising that there's nothing, there. There are cultural institutions, the Russian bathhouse in the East Village. It's definitely gone through different. It's at its core, it's still a Russian bathhouse, but during the 80s, it was very much perceived as a place for gay men to congregate and that sort of thing. So, I think there's a little bit of the, of the traditional things that exist that are probably not part of the larger naturist or nudist community or awareness. And then also there's, I think, some of the stigmas that are still connected with some of those places that do allow nudity.
The pessimist will say that it doesn't exist because there's no demand in it, and but me as the optimist, I think that perhaps there's just nobody's really done anything about it. The opportunity exists, but it always comes down to somebody with the vision and then the drive to make it happen. And so I think maybe you have something there for sure, because it's proven in other cities that it is interest. So what's the next step? When are you opening?
I'd love to open next year. I think the next step for me is I'm in the process of putting together a Kickstarter campaign. I think that might be an interesting crowdsourcing, grassroots way of getting feedback and also funding. It's something that I'm actually in the process of building as we speak. It's interesting to look at these crowdsourcing or crowdfunding platforms because there are some limitations in what you can and can't do. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. But I'm also, interested in just getting a lot of comments back, from people who are interested. One of the things I'm looking for is potentially a business partner that might have more experience in the real estate area. That is a big component of doing this in New York City. Is understanding, how to get the right space in the right area and, overcome some of the legal issues that might occur with, I think, less so with the nudity and more so with, having the spa and those kinds of facilities within the building.
So if somebody wants to help you or get in touch with you or contribute to the Kickstarter campaign, how do they get in touch with you?
So the easiest way is I have an email, njfamilynaturists@gmail.com. So that's NJ is in New Jersey, family naturists, plural, @gmail.com. That will be how the Kickstarter campaign can be found as well. Again, that'll probably be up in about 2 weeks, so early first thing in the year. I'd welcome anybody who's interested in discussing it from a business point of view, or just simply interested in sharing their comments. I think, with social media and all these different communication vehicles, perhaps just getting the conversation going and getting people excited and participating might be part of, what has stopped it in the meantime.
Well, I'll put a link to that information in the show notes, and I'll put a link to the YNA article as well that you wrote. So it sounds exciting. I mean, good luck.
Crossed fingers. I mean, I like I said, I love entrepreneurship. I love the idea of, tackling something where I think there's a need in the market, and I think there's a need. So, and I think, having been to YNA events, I know there's at least 100 to 200 people that, are looking for something like this, and that's a good start.
So, welcome back to cold New York, Felicity.
Hi, Stefan. Yes, we're back in cold New York. I just got a lot of snow this week, actually. Well, not a lot, but not what we're used to.
How was California in the end? Did you have a good time?
Yeah, it was beautiful. We had also gone, after Terracotta, we actually also went to Living Water Spa, this clothing optional spa with mineral water, hot tub, and pool. It was nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, I just had, there's not much to do in the New York area, but I noticed you had a blog or a guest blog on the YNA site from Joshua about this idea of having this 7-day-a-week sort of naturist spa thing. So I just talked to him, and he told me all about it. So just thought I'd ask you what you think of the idea.
Right, yeah. I think it's a great idea, and I think if it was done right, it would be successful. Obviously we have a lot of spas in New York City, in Queens and Long Island, and some of them have just like limited clothing optional times, or they're not co-ed or whatever. And then we have the Travis Sons, which does a swim monthly event at this gym spa place in Long Island, and people were bringing that up, but it's like both of us were like, well, this is different. This is not just a monthly event. It's like we want to have our own very own space that you could go to at any time. So yeah, that's like some of what people were saying. I'm sure you guys were talking about the comments.
A little bit. Not yeah. What surprised me is that there's nothing in New York, the core of New York, with all that population. There's no place you can get to by transit, and like you have to get in a car and drive pretty far, and that seems surprising to me that nobody's really doing anything naturist in the urban area, that for people who don't have cars. Lots of people in New York don't have cars, right?
Right, yeah. It's a problem when we do events at the nudist clubs that are outside of New York City, upstate or in New Jersey, because they're just really difficult to get to.
So when you have YNA events, do you hold them so that you can get to it by transit, or do you have to have a car for all the YNA parties and things you do?
No, well, it depends. We've done a lot of events in Manhattan and in New York City that are accessible by the subway. One club, Rock Lodge is accessible by bus, but once you get to this one bus stop, and if it's on a Saturday or a Sunday, you have to walk or bike or get a taxi from this bus station, and it's really a hassle. It takes like 2.5 hours, 3 hours when it shouldn't take that long to get there.
Oh.
It's not that far away, but yeah, most of them are just a bit of a hassle to get to without a car. You could rent a car also, but it's difficult. We try to arrange carpooling when we do events outside of New York City for New Yorkers.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like getting to Bear Oaks by transit. You've got to take 2 or 3 trains or buses, and then even at the very last bus stop, you still have a 3-kilometer walk. And if it's the weekend, there's no bus service, so
yeah,
so that's pretty harsh. So yeah, it sounds like it sounds like a good opportunity for New York. Do you think it would work?
I think it would. People have also been concerned about alcohol and nudity laws, or just like the law or regulations like getting in the way. But in this case, I wasn't even thinking about alcohol, because it's like, this is a health and wellness center, a spa. You don't need it.
Yeah, how many spas do you go and have drinks at?
Right. Yeah, it's a moneymaker, I guess. And, nudist clubs have bars, but like for this, I don't think it's that big of a concern or would be in the plan. So I think it would succeed.
Let's do some shots in between those saunas.
Yeah.
doesn't seem to work for me anyway.
Yeah, just get naked and drunk.
Yeah.
God, there'd be death.
Well, I hope he gets somewhere. I hope he can make it work. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And what else is on your mind?
Actually, we've also been talking about this documentary movie called Free the Nipple, because they're getting so much attention the last couple of weeks. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No, I haven't. Tell me more about it.
Yeah, it's basically about top free equality, women having the right to go topless, just as men do.
So what's the movie supposed to be about?
It's just supposed to be about how women should have this right, that we should have this equality, and that we don't. And it's, I think, filmed mostly in New York City, where it is legal to be top free. Women have had this right since 1992, but there's still a problem, because as of this year, I think women are still getting arrested for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it goes into that, and it has a heavy focus on saying how we allow so much violence in the media, so much kids see so much violence on TV, and yet a nipple is like what everybody freaks out about. And just they're focusing on how that doesn't make sense, which is good. I think that's what people kind of it's a way to reason with people, and people understand that.
So where's this movie at right now?
They're actually raising money for it on a crowdfunding website. I think it's called Fund the Campaign. If you Google like Free the Nipple, you would find it. They're trying to raise another $250,000 to get it funded.
Well, I'm going to for sure put a link to that in the show notes so that people can look at it.
Yeah, and the reason they got so much attention the last couple of days is Miley Cyrus actually tweeted a picture of herself topless. She has her boobs covered, but she tweeted about it. So
about the movie?
Yeah, about the movie.
Cool.
She said something like, "Thank you, New York, for being a top free state."
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Not that Miley Cyrus isn't always the ideal role model for everybody, but
I know, it's kind of funny. Well, Lena Esco I read this article that she actually was in a movie with Miley, so they kind of knew each other before.
Oh.
So, but it's good that she has that endorsement. I mean, Miley Cyrus is not exactly. It's kind of funny that she would show support for this anyway. She's been so much about nudity, in a different way, in a more like attention-getting way and everything.
So how does it work? So if they get all the money in the crowdfunding, how are they still have to do distribution, and is it gonna be in movie theaters?
Yeah, well they also got an NC-17 rating.
Oh, is the movie shot already?
I think they filmed most of it. They just need to do the editing and everything that comes after that.
And NC-17, because I'm not in the US, does that mean that you can't get in unless you're 18 years old?
It's worse than an R rating.
Wow.
Yeah. I think you can't see it I think with R rating you can see it accompanied by an adult if you're under 18. An NC-17, like, you have to be over 18.
Wow, and that's because there's like really graphic violence in it?
Obviously not.
So it got.
Because there's like topless women fighting with swords and beheading each other.
Yeah, so yeah, because that you can do, and you can get a PG rating.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. As long as the nipples are censored.
Yes. Exactly.
You can fight and sword each other all day, but no.
What a ridiculous world, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the NC-17 thing is just a really terrible form of censorship. Like, it's just, I think Lena Esco called it like the kiss of death. Like, it just really hurts their distribution and making money on it and everything. Like, it's just censorship.
So that means they're not going to get wide distribution because of that, I guess, unless they get a lot of attention. Or will it be on Netflix or something like that?
Yeah, hopefully they can still find a way, even if they have to deal with this rating. I mean, they're trying to push they're bringing up also the MPAA, which is who makes these ratings, makes up the standards for what everything is, PG-13, what is R, etc. And they're saying, this hasn't gotten much better since the the Hays Code.
Yeah.
Back in the day. It's like they're saying it's not much better today. Look at this. So
I think
it'd be even better if they can get the ratings changed.
Well, there's a great movie I watched, and I think it's on Netflix, called "This Film Is Not Yet Rated," and it's exactly about all that. I don't know if I talked about it in one of the previous shows, but it's this guy who's doing this essentially this expose of the MPAA ratings and how the people who do it is this small group of people who have all this power and who just get offended by certain things. And essentially it's that. It's like at the moment you see a penis, it's NC-17, and otherwise you can behead people all day long. And there's like no rhyme or reason. If they don't like you, then they give you a nasty rating. So nobody will ever see your film.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I've heard of that movie. I don't think I've seen it. Yeah, that sounds pretty much how it is.
Well, I'll put a link to that, and definitely everybody should go and watch that movie if they have a chance, because that's...
Yeah, and I mean, we also don't know, we haven't seen, obviously we can't see much of the movie yet, so, I want to support it, and it seems like they're doing great thing, but, we don't know exactly what kind of angle they're going to take with the movie or anything, but people should definitely check it out.
Okay, sounds great. I think I will definitely when I get off the phone with you.
Yeah.
So I'll put links to all that in the show notes. Anybody who wants to go and look at either the movie I mentioned or the movie that Felicity mentioned. And what's happening with YNA? Do you have any events and things coming up?
Yeah, we have an event coming up on January 25th. We're doing an evening with Sarah Eve Cardell. We're doing chocolate making. We're going to make raw chocolate, and then we're going to do a drum meditation.
Oh, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
And where do people find out more about that?
And they can see it on our events page at yna.me. Click on Naked Events.
Naked Events. Awesome.
Yeah.
The best kind.
Right.
As you heard in past episodes, I did a lot of interviews while I was in a nude cruise last February. And I have one more in the can that I recorded last February, and I'm going to put it on now because it's been, as it is, it's starting to be a bit of an old interview at this point, almost a year old, but it's all still very relevant. I had an opportunity and the privilege to sit down with Suzanne Schell. And she is the owner, her and her husband, of 2 resorts out in the western United States. Laguna del Sol was her first one in California, and not very long ago they also purchased, with others, Mira Vista Resort in Arizona. And these are 2 very upscale, very developed, sophisticated resorts, and so she provides an interesting insight into the business and opportunity and future of naturism.
Well, I'm Suzanne Schell, and I'm here on the Bare Necessities Cruise this week, and I'm also here with my husband Wayne, and we're promoting our businesses, Laguna del Sol near Sacramento, California, and Mira Vista Resort in Tucson, Arizona.
So you are the owners of the 2 resorts?
We are. We've had Laguna del Sol since 1984, and we've had Mira Vista for 7 years in May, so since 2006.
So tell us a little bit about the scale. How big are these? What are they like?
Wow, they're completely different and about 900 miles apart. Laguna del Sol is one of the largest resorts in the country and probably about the largest member-wise and business-wise in the West. It's in a beautiful 250 acres of the foothills of the Sierra Nevadas, great location, huge mix of camping and club members and hotel and vacationers from all over the place, and right in between San Francisco and Lake Tahoe and all the Gold Country and Yosemite, but it's a destination in itself too. Lots to do there.
So how many rooms? How many campsites?
Pretty much unlimited campsites. We have ones with hookups, about 100, and then tent sites all on grass. I think our permit says up to 400, so that's plenty. And then 27 rooms and cottages.
So what made you decide to go in this business?
I was a child nudist. Grew up going to a place in Southern California with my family. Met my husband there. And we had another business in Southern California, but we went up to a convention at Laguna del Sol, which was called Rawhide Ranch at the time, and owners wanting to retire, we ended up coming away from the weekend with a deal to buy it. So, and it's just grown since then. It was a, small to medium-sized campground and club in the mid-'80s, and over the 29 years, we've improved, expanded on it, and it's one of the premier resorts certainly in the country and maybe in the world now.
And one resort wasn't enough. You had to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. We actually started out with 2 partners, and one of our former partners who owned another resort, found the Mira Vista property. It was a little historic hotel that was closed at the time, and we went into partnership with that couple and another couple 7 years ago. Thought that we'd just be involved a little bit, maybe, and then ended up with all of it for the last, I think, 4 or 5 years.
So, the story is that there's a declining interest in nudism, naturism, and young people aren't into it. Their business is bad. What would you say to that?
I'd say that we've had to work a little harder the last few years, but it's been growing every year. So I think you can't just sit back and hope people will come to you without a little bit of work and a little more promotion and a little more of getting the word out. I'm also on the ANR board, so I work with the brand management and marketing committee on the board. And, there are a lot of options for people. So you do, there's a lot of competition for their leisure dollar, And we just have to try a little harder to let people know we're there. Once people find the places, they love it. But it's we're not the Hilton, or we're not some gigantic resort like Carnival Cruise or something that has a little bit bigger marketing budget than we do. So once people find out about you, I think they really, get that first visit in, and then they want to come back.
And what about young people? Is it just old folks that are interested?
Not at all. Certainly the largest group, probably to start in nudism, has always been the 35 to 55, just because it takes people a while to get comfortable with their bodies or realize that, you only have one life to live and might as well enjoy it. It's passing by, whether you're going to, deprive yourself of doing things that are fun or not. We have people of all ages, certainly. I was a child nudist. Both of our places are, family friendly. Laguna del Sol is a kid's paradise. We've got, a rope swing and a lake and paddle boats and kids' activities and playgrounds and things like that. So it's certainly welcome to people of all ages. Because I grew up in a nudist family, I want other people to be able to enjoy that too and keep it affordable for families. Mira Vista is a little bit not as conducive to children's activities and things, just because it's a smaller resort, but they're certainly welcome. And we have, family members, and we have visitors that come with children. It's just not quite as common as at Laguna del Sol. You might come many times and there'd be no kids there. So for families that know that, they're not expecting to be entertained, it's perfect, but it's not, the primary thing. But we're certainly welcome. We're 100% Anner clubs, so both of our places, and it's important to us to stick to the values, principles, and standards that Anner's had since the 1930s.
So, in hindsight now, did you do right to invest all your time and money in this business, or would you have done better doing something else?
Well, absolutely. Laguna del Sol has been very good. I mean, we had another business. My husband had a business, and we were fortunate to be able to invest some profits from that into the expansion of the facilities and the improvements at Laguna del Sol and at Mira Vista. I think it does take, it's kind of what we do for fun. We don't have a big boat, or we don't have a lot of other hobbies other than nudist vacations and travel and things. But it's important, I think, to keep growing and improving and maintaining facilities. And yeah, we certainly, this is our business, and we do make a nice, a living off it. So it certainly can be done. I think it's difficult for some of the smaller places, and you do have to, it's hard work too. Like I said, like any kind of business that you do on your own, it's, you have to put a lot into it too. But it's fun. It's nice to be in a business where, people come there because they're having fun.
Well, that's all once again for this episode of the Naturist Living Show. Thank you as always for listening. Again, my name is Stéphane Deschênes, and I'm your host for this podcast and the owner of Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park. You'll find links to all the things we talked about in the show note on the show website, which is located at naturistliving.bearoaks.ca. That's B-A-R-E, Bear Oaks, of course, .ca, because we're Canada. Please keep sending your comments and your suggestions. I always appreciate receiving them, and I read them all, and I try to respond. Well, I do respond to all of them, but sometimes I'm a little slow. The show's email address is naturistliving@bearoaks.ca. That's B-A-R-E again, bearoaks.ca in Canada. Join us again in about a month for the next episode of the Naturist Living Show.
This episode of the Naturist Living Show was brought to you by Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park. Traditional naturist values in a modern setting. Traditional values means that naturism is more than just taking your clothes off. It is a life philosophy with physical, psychological, environmental, social, and moral benefits. Bare Oaks Family Naturist Park strives to promote those naturist values in a modern setting that provides the amenities and services that our members and visitors expect. Free your body, free your mind. Learn more at www.bareoaks.ca.